Hey everyone, welcome back. So, you've probably seen some headlines lately, right, about President Tinubu and all those trips he's been taking to France.
Yeah, there's been quite a buzz about that.
Right. So today, we're going to do a deep dive into that, try to figure out what's really going on. We're getting a lot of news reports and interesting connections are popping up, especially when it comes to business dealings.
Yeah, a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, so think about this with us. Why should we even care? Why should all these trips, especially the ones to France, matter to you?
Well, I think the frequency of the visits is a good place to start. I mean, think about it. President Tinubu has been in office for what, 2 years now? And he's been to France more than any other country.
More than anywhere else. 5 trips, from
Yeah.
what we can tell from public records.
Right. And out of those five, four were classified as private visits, and only one was an official state visit.
And that's actually a pretty important distinction, right? Because before he was president, these trips were on his own dime, personal stuff.
Ex-
Now it's all taxpayer money.
Hmm.
So that makes you think, what's going on here? What's changed?
Totally. I mean, what are the priorities here? And are these trips really the best use of public funds? It's definitely something worth looking into. And this is where Gilbert Chagoury enters the picture. He's a Lebanese-Nigerian businessman, and he's got a long history in Nigeria, big player in the economy.
Huge.
Yeah, he owns some pretty major businesses in Nigeria, like the Hittech Construction Company, which, if you remember, got that huge contract for the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road.
Oh, right, yeah.
He also owns the Eco Hotel in Lagos. You know that one, right?
Yeah.
And then there's Eco Atlantic.
Oh, that ambitious project, right?
That's the one. So the guy's got his fingers in a lot of pies, so to speak.
Yeah, and speaking of pies, this guy with all these businesses in Nigeria, where does he live?
Get this, he lives in France.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Retired, living in a castle in Paris. You know, when you think about it, it's a bit strange. Here's a guy who owns a ton of stuff in Nigeria, but chooses to live abroad. And, get this, he's super tight with our current president. It makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Oh, for sure. Now, this connection between President Tinubu and Mr. Chagoury isn't exactly new, right? They've known each other for ages.
Yeah, I mean, reports are saying they've been friends for over 30 years. That's a long time.
Yeah, like way back when.
And apparently, whenever President Tinubu visits Paris, you know what he does? He hangs out at Chagoury's place.
No kidding. So it's more than just like, hey, how you doing kind of thing. It seems pretty cozy.
Right. And it makes those official presidential trips seem a little less official. And let's be honest, it all starts to feel a bit, I don't know, intertwined when you factor in the business side of things.
Speaking of which, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Since President Tinubu's been in charge, Mr. Chagoury's companies have been awarded some pretty hefty federal contracts.
Hefty is putting it mildly. We're talking almost $14 billion. That's a billion with a B.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
I'm like, seriously, a lot of money. And that's taxpayer money, folks. Our money. Makes you wonder, is this really how we should be spending it?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Let's look at a couple of examples. One contract was for $700 million given to ITB Nigeria for renovating Lagos ports. And guess who owns ITB Nigeria?
Let me guess, Mr. Chagoury.
Ding, 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 you got it. And then there's the big one, the real whopper, the $13 billion contract for that Lagos-Calabar coastal highway awarded to, drum roll, please, Hyundai. You're on a roll. And guess who controls Hyundai?
I think I'm getting the hang of this.
Mr.
Chagoury.
You got it. It's almost like a game show at this point. But here's the kicker. Both of those MEG deals, billions and billions of dollars, were given out without any competitive bidding.
That's alarming, to say the least. It just doesn't seem right, does it? I mean, what happened to fair play, getting the best deal for the people? And it's not just Mr. Chagoury in the mix. Reports are saying President Tinubu's son, Say Tinubu, is involved too.
Oh, yeah. This is where things get even more interesting. So apparently, there's this leaked document going around. It suggests that Sadie Tinubu and Roland Chagoury, who happens to be Gilbert Chagoury's son, co-own an offshore company together.
That's cozy.
Right. And on top of that, Sadie Tinubu is on the board of CDK Industries, another one of Chagoury's businesses.
Okay.
It all starts to feel a bit too close for comfort, doesn't it? And let's not forget, these massive contracts, we're talking billions here, people, were awarded without a single other company getting a chance to bid. Just doesn't seem right.
Yeah, no bidding wars, no competition, just straight to Mr. Chagoury and his companies. And then there's Eco Atlantic. Remember that project we talked about earlier? The one that was basically a ghost town for years because it cost so much to develop? Well, guess what? It's booming now.
booming. Suddenly, it's the hottest property in town. Big companies are falling over themselves to get a piece of it. It's like someone flipped the switch.
Right, like what happened? So we had First Bank, they're setting up their headquarters there.
Yep.
And then MTN, they dropped something like $10 billion just to buy land there for their new headquarters.
Crazy. Right.
Like Eco-Atlantic went from 0 to 100 in a blink of an eye.
Exactly. And everyone's asking the same question. What changed? Why is this suddenly the place to be? Well, the word on the street is that businesses are realizing that Gilbert Chagoury is kind of a big deal in the current administration. I mean, let's be real, he's super tight with the president.
Yeah.
And I guess these companies figure that having him on their side might be a good idea. You know, just in case. It's like having a VIP pass to all the best deals. Suddenly, the fact that land in Eco-Atlantic is super expensive and priced in dollars, well, that doesn't seem to bother them anymore.
Right. It's all about who you know. Right. Connections matter. So with all this going on, people are throwing around this term, state capture. Can you break that down for us for the folks at home?
Sure. State capture is basically a fancy way of saying that private interests are calling the shots in the government, they're pulling the strings and making things happen in their favor.
Okay.
In this case, it could mean that decisions about things like infrastructure, roads and bridges and stuff, or how resources get divided up, well, those decisions are being made based on who's friends with who and what kind of business deals they have going on, rather than what's actually best for the country.
Right. Okay. So think about it, everyone. Close friends, frequent trips, billion-dollar contracts handed out like candy, and Eco-Atlantic suddenly becoming the place to be. What does all this tell you about what might be happening behind closed doors in France? What kind of deals are being made? Whose interests are being served? Because it doesn't seem like it's us, the regular people.
Right. This whole situation just screams a lack of transparency and accountability. When the president jets off to meet with a businessman who just happens to be one of his closest friends, and that friend's companies start racking up billions of dollars in government contracts, well, it makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And those are not my words. One of the reports we looked at actually called it out straight up, said the country's been captured by mafias.
Wow, that's a pretty strong statement.
Strong, but maybe not that far off.
Yeah, I mean, it's a harsh reality, right? For years, Nigerians have been dealing with corruption and its impact on our country. It's like this never-ending cycle, and it's holding us back.
So to sum it all up, folks, we've taken a deep dive into these trips to France, looked at the relationship between President Tinubu and Gilbert Chagoury, the massive contracts awarded without any competition, and the sudden boom of Eco-Atlantic.
It all paints a pretty unsettling picture, right? It does raise some serious questions, especially about how our country is being run and whether our resources are being used responsibly. And when you consider the whole concept of state capture, it makes you think even harder about whether those in power are acting in the best interests of the people or just looking out for themselves and their buddies.
So what are your thoughts? What questions are we left with? As Nigerians, what should we be demanding from our leaders? Because at the end of the day, it's our country, and we deserve better than this.
Yes. Thanks for tuning in to The Deep Dive. Keep those questions coming.
And keep those conversations going. It's time for us to take a stand and demand accountability.
It's our future.
Our future.
Let's make it count.